Hey girls, welcome back to my channel. So now that I'm 25 weeks pregnant, I have gotten a lot of advice. I've heard a lot of things, and I felt like it was time to talk about some of the big red flag myths out there about pregnancy. So I'm sharing the top 5 that absolutely just drive me crazy. And these are things that you have definitely heard whether you've been pregnant or not. And we kind of just believe them, and people share and say like, oh, this is truth, but they're not. There's no science to back them up. And in fact, everything I'm gonna share is stuff that has science that says the exact opposite. So these are the 5 biggest pregnancy myths that we all need to just stop doing. So first, little context, I'm obviously not a doctor. I'm a certified personal trainer, sports nutrition specialist, and I do have specialization certifications in pre and postnatal training. All of that said, any of the information I'm sharing comes directly from the ACOG, which is the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, and they are the top of the top source that does all of the data. They bring all the research together to give us guidelines during pregnancy. I'm gonna try to keep this brief because I feel like I could go on like soapboxes of these 5 things for a really long time. But the first one, literally, like, it just pains me, and I can't tell you how many times I've gotten so many comments from people saying like, oh, just do whatever. No. So the biggest myth, this is probably the biggest myth, but the other ones are really big too, is that you're eating for 2. You're pregnant, you're eating for 2, so double up on everything or just like eat whatever you want. That is so beyond the truth, it's not even funny. So I feel like it's important to like understand kind of weight gain during pregnancy and what healthy weight gain looks like and how that's distributed. So I'm just gonna put charts up here because I feel like this explains it way better than I can. So you can kind of see, depending on where your BMI is when you first get pregnant and your weight is, how much weight you should be gaining. So I'm supposed to gain around 25 pounds or so for my entire pregnancy. And then this other chart shows you exactly where that weight's distributed. So you can really see, like, as you're growing a human inside of you, there's a lot more than that baby itself that adds to weight. Obviously, like, fat is going to be there, but it's a really small amount. As you guys can see, there's a lot of fluids, all these other things happening. But the weight itself that you need to gain for a baby is pretty minimal when you think about the fact you're creating life. So all of that's to say is when people talk about eating for 2 and like just kind of like willy-nilly succumbing to whatever craving you get and just doing anything, it's actually really dangerous because, again, you're growing a human and what we're eating them is fueling and nourishing their bodies. But if you gain too much weight during pregnancy, it can have detrimental effects on both yourself, obviously, but also your baby. And I actually read this, I think it might have even been on the ACOG's website, but I loved it because I think it's such a good way for us to switch and like flip the script for people when they say eating for 2. You're not eating for 2, but you should eat twice as healthy and be really mindful about what you're putting in your body. You actually don't even need to increase your calories whatsoever until later into your 2nd trimester and your 3rd trimester of pregnancy, because that's when really like the baby needs to start putting on more fat and everything else. And that's only about like 300 calories or so. So think of like a half a sandwich, a small snack. That's the only additional food that your body really needs if you're eating a normal healthy diet most of the time. You just need to increase it like a tiny bit, a couple hundred calories, a small snack. Not everything I want all day, every day. It's gonna be really tough, not only for you during your pregnancy, but it can lead to a lot of problems with your baby, gestational diabetes for yourself, but for your baby, even like a really unhealthy birth weight and other issues that they could face as they develop and go through life. So it's so important to make sure you're nourishing your body, taking care of your body throughout your pregnancy. And I know I've had it really easy. I had no morning sickness. I've had barely any food aversions. And I know that that can be totally different for other women, but it's about still finding what you can eat, what does sound good, what you can keep down that is going to be healthy for you and the baby, and still trying to hit a healthy caloric range every day versus just letting it all go. Because think of how challenging, just even for yourself, that physical recovery after pregnancy is gonna be. Number 2, you can't drink coffee while you're pregnant. False. It's false, you guys. So all the data shows it's totally safe to have up to about 200 milligrams of caffeine per day. So think of like a medium-sized 12-ounce coffee. That's totally fine. If you guys have been following my channel for a while and you know me, you know that I stopped drinking full caffeinated coffee probably a year ago or so, way before I even started to try to get pregnant, but that was because of my hypothyroidism. I just felt like I was becoming more and more sensitive to caffeine and I wanted to cut it down. So the one thing I'd say is, like, especially if you consciously know you're gonna start trying to get pregnant, maybe start weaning yourself back on the amount of caffeine you have if you do consume more than 200 milligrams a day, and like try to get it to that 200 milligram range before you are pregnant, because it'll just make it an easier transition. You won't feel like you can't have it now that you're pregnant. It'll just be like, that's just what you do. But also make sure that if you are like doing decaf versus regular, trying to get beans that have the Swiss water method to make them decaf, because otherwise drinking decaf can actually be more harmful, because if you're drinking regular decaf coffees, they use chemicals to strip the caffeine away. So you're better off just having less regular coffee, if that makes sense. So yeah, you can totally have caffeine, you can have your coffee, you don't have to like suffer through pregnancy with no caffeine. You just want to be mindful. The other thing that I think is really helpful to do is to make sure you're pairing a meal with your caffeine. So again, if you guys have followed my channel for a long time, I used to drink my coffee on an empty stomach in like first thing in the morning. And I've tried, especially being pregnant, to start, and also because I just get really hungry in the morning, to start having some breakfast with my coffee too, or at least like soon after. I just feel better when I do that. But I still do my half calf coffee. I just like enjoy that because I get like more coffee to it, but I make sure that I have those Swiss water method beans because it's just better for you and baby and everything. But drink up, girls. Number 3, I get asked about this literally every single day, and I wish that there was a magical way to fix this, but the third biggest myth that I hear all the time about pregnancy is that you can avoid stretch marks, and if you use all these creams and lotions, you can avoid totally getting stretch marks. And it's just not true. Stretch marks are super genetic. So if it is in your DNA, I have stretch marks on my boobs, on my thighs, like the side of my butt. And that's just from like going through puberty. My boobs grew really fast when I was really young. And then also obviously, like, I used to be 45 pounds heavier. So as I had all that excess weight on my body and then lost it, I have some stretch marks from that. They're not anything major on my body. Like, they don't bug me. Will I get them on my belly? Maybe, I don't know. So far I don't have any like on my belly, but we still have a ways to go. I think the biggest thing is, no, you cannot 100% avoid stretch marks. There's nothing you can do to magically get rid of them if you have them. However, especially during pregnancy, if you use clean ingredient, make sure it's nice and clean because your body, your skin absorbs everything. If you use really good clean moisturizers and body oils consistently 2 to 3 times a day, rubbing it everywhere, you can help reduce the amount of stretch marks you get and the intensity of them, just because you're keeping your skin and the elasticity and everything, like you're keeping your skin way more hydrated because everything's gonna start stretching, right? And if it's dry and starts stretching, it's gonna be a lot more problematic, and you likely will have more intense stretch marks than if it's more moisturized and dewy and it has a little bit more to give. So for me, I'm like, will it help me avoid them? Not 100%. Probably if it's in my DNA to get them on my belly, I'm gonna get them. But if I can help minimize it a little bit, I'm gonna obviously do everything I can to minimize them. Number 4 is a big one, and when I posted stories, even like getting a facial, I've gotten so many messages from people being like, oh my gosh, you can't be on your back. So one of the biggest myths is that you cannot be laying on your back, you can't sleep on your back, can't work out on your back, you can't get a facial on your back. It's just not true. Here's what happens though. Basically, and that's usually like thought of in your second trimester. Everyone's body is different. So like, that goes for everything I'm talking about here. Everyone's body is different. But what happens is, as the fetus grows and as your uterus grows, when you're laying on your back, it's gonna put a lot more pressure on some of the blood vessels and different things in your body, which can make it super uncomfortable. You could maybe get a little lightheaded, you can get tingling. Obviously that's not good, and you're gonna feel it and be like, nope. And even just laying on your back as you get bigger starts to become like just a little uncomfortable. You're like, this is, I don't know, it just feels like heavy. So it's not that you cannot ever lay on your back, but you have to be really mindful and determine, like, is this comfortable? Do I feel 100% okay laying on my back? Then I can lay on my back, or I can sleep on my back. Maybe a little bit, like a tiny bit of elevation will help that. But if it's not comfortable, then absolutely you should not be on your back. I think like one of the biggest things is really like being aware of your body, obviously anytime, but especially during pregnancy, because yeah, if it starts to become uncomfortable, like that can be not ideal for a baby, and like that could be cutting off some circulation and stuff. So when in doubt, don't lay on your back. But it's not that you cannot, and there's not a certain magical day like, okay, you hit week 16, now you can't lay on your back anymore. It's different for everyone. I'm 25 weeks and I just now started getting to a point where if I lay on my back for more than a like couple minutes, I start to get like a little like, it's not super comfy and I want to turn to my side. So listen to your body, but know that's not like a one size fits all specific date has to change kind of a thing. And number 5, like I'm gonna lose my freaking mind if I get another message about this. Okay. The second biggest, whatever. Number 1, huge. Number 5, massive. Myth about pregnancy is that working out is dangerous for your baby. It just sounds like someone was like, you know what? I don't really feel like working out and being active, so I'm gonna just make this up and spread it. And now it's been around for decades and people just keep saying it. And it is so beyond wrong. And the science is the exact opposite, showing all of the incredible benefits for both you as someone who is pregnant and your baby, not only during pregnancy and their development, but post-pregnancy as they grow. Like, there are so many benefits to staying active. That does not mean you have to be like hitting the CrossFit gym and bench pressing crazy amounts, but you need to be working out. It is amazing for you. So first, let's just clear like a sedentary lifestyle, like not moving your body, not being active, not working out will cause more risk for you and your baby during your pregnancy and after. There are so many complications that can come from that. Like, so no. We need to be active. The recommendation is about 30 minutes, 5 days a week as like a baseline minimum, but that can look different obviously depending on your fitness level when you get pregnant. So the ACOG says basically whatever you've been doing, you can keep doing. Obviously, again, as you get more and more pregnant, there might be certain things that you need to modify, especially when it comes to ab exercises, because you want to avoid overstretching those abs, which are already gonna get stretched from baby. You wanna avoid too much compression on the abdominal region. But in general, if you've been doing box jumps and runs and all of that, keep doing it. You can keep doing it. I think that that's something that's so important for all of us. And again, I talk to so many women who just feel like they lose their identity during pregnancy, a sense of self, like, and post, because they feel like they have to give all these things up or change all these things. And it's just not the case. Staying active is so good, obviously physically, but also for your mental health. And this is a time where we're going through so many changes and emotions, and being able to make sure we still have that time for ourselves is also really, really important. Okay, so I just wanted to read you some of the benefits because there's so many and I didn't want to miss any. So this is straight from the ACOG. So if you're active during pregnancy, continuing your normal activities, exercising, everything, reduce back pain, eases constipation, can decrease the risk of gestational diabetes, preeclampsia, or a cesarean birth, promotes healthy weight gain during your pregnancy, improves your overall fitness and strengthens your heart and blood vessels, helps you lose the baby weight after your baby is born. That's just stuff for you. There are amazing benefits for your baby as well with their development and motor skills and strength and their weight if you're active during your pregnancy. When I posted videos, I've had so many people be like, don't do those jumps. You have to stop being like doing high active, high impact stuff. And no, like again, if you are doing it and it feels okay and it still feels good, then you should keep doing it. Obviously, if you start feeling pain, like heaviness, pressure on the pelvis, back pain, anything is uncomfortable, just like if you weren't pregnant and you started feeling any pain or discomfort, then of course, then you should stop or modify, check things out. But if you're feeling good, keep going. This is another one where everyone's different though. So some people might notice those things changing earlier on in their pregnancy. For me personally, again, it was about this week 24, 25, that I was like, okay, I gotta modify some of my ab stuff because like I'm feeling it and it's feeling like it's pulling, not like normal ab strength. So I'm gonna be doing more like bird dogs and less like double leg raises and that kind of stuff because I just want to make sure I'm protecting my body so I have an easier recovery too. The one thing I do want to say is if you have not been active at all prior to getting pregnant, you should still start a routine, but obviously don't jump into some like crazy new workout routine that's like high intensity lifting weights and stuff. Like for you, maybe just walking every day is the best thing, but still starting to build movement and activity into your day is gonna be super beneficial. Okay, so just a quick recap on the 5 biggest pregnancy myths that just need to go out the window and everyone needs to stop spreading the crazy. Number 1, you are not eating for 2. We're just gonna eat twice as healthy. Number 2, yes, you can drink coffee, just keep it at or under 200 milligrams a day. Number 3, you can't 100% avoid stretch marks if it's in your DNA, but keeping your skin really hydrated and moisturized will help you reduce the amount or the intensity of the appearance of them. Number 4, you can't be on your back, sleeping, working out, anything like that. Not true, you just have to be really mindful. Try to keep it in shorter amounts of time, especially as you get deeper into your pregnancy, and if it ever is uncomfortable, then don't lay on your back. And number 5, working out is not dangerous during pregnancy. It is absolutely necessary. All right, girls, hopefully you found me debunking these crazy pregnancy myths helpful. If you did, hit the thumbs up. Comment down below with any questions you guys have. It's just the science, right? Things change over generations, but somehow these little myths just carry and people believe they're true, and they're just not. I love you guys so much. I've still been vlogging this entire journey. I am almost so close to starting my 3rd trimester, which is crazy. And next week I have my glucose test, which apparently I have to chug a crazy sugary soda, something. I don't know. Sounds weird since it's just not my norm, but anyway, I love you guys. Have an amazing week. I'll see you soon. Bye. Oh yeah, and if you know anyone who's pregnant or thinking about getting pregnant, make sure you share this video with them, because these are things that more people need to know and be aware of before they get into all the other craziness that happens during pregnancy.